You're not struggling. The economy is booming. Yeah, you've heard that before. Stock market's hitting record highs while you're calculating if you can afford both groceries and gas this week. It's like being told the house isn't on fire. While you're literally choking on smoke, you are working harder than your parents ever did. The data backs it up. Productivity has increased by 246% since 1948, but hourly compensation only up 115%. That's quite a gap. Your grandparents could support a family of 4 on one income from a factory job. No degree required. Today, you need dual incomes, multiple degrees, and probably a side hustle just to avoid drowning. And somehow you're the lazy one? We're living in an economy that gaslights you daily. GDP grows, unemployment drops, yet 64% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Make it make sense. The disconnect isn't in your head. The prosperity they're measuring, it's real. It's just not yours. It belongs to the top 10% who own 89% of all stocks. When they say the economy is doing great, they're not lying. They're just not talking about your economy. Chapter 1. The Productivity Scam. Work smarter, not harder. Cool advice. Except you're already doing both and still falling behind. We have more technology, education, and efficiency than any generation in history. We can do in hours what took our grandparents days. Yet somehow we can't afford what they could buy with a high school diploma and a handshake. The average worker today produces twice what someone did in the 1970s. The reward? You get to compete with 500 other applicants for a job that pays less in real terms than it did 40 years ago. Productivity gains for me, not for thee. And they wonder why quiet quitting became a thing. You're not quiet quitting. You're just refusing to donate free labor to companies posting record profits while claiming they can't afford raises. That's not lazy. That's logical. The productivity scam convinced you that working harder meant earning more. Reality check. You're the most productive generation ever, earning the least relative to your output. Chapter 2. The Housing Heist. In 1970, the median home cost 2.5 times the median income. Today, it's 7.5 times. Just save harder. Your parents bought their first home at 25. The average first-time buyer today? 40 years old. 40. Not a typo. We're not delaying homeownership by choice. We're being priced out of existence. You need $141,000 in household income to afford a median-priced home. Actual median income? $70,000. So basically, you need to be rich to afford average. Investment firms now own 1 in 7 homes in America. They're not buying homes to live in. They're buying them to rent back to you at prices that ensure you'll never save enough to buy your own. It's genius. Evil, but genius. Your grandparents' generation got 30-year mortgages. Your generation? Lifetime rentals. The American dream didn't die. It was murdered and turned into a subscription service. 84% of Gen Z has delayed major life milestones trying to save for housing. The joke's on us. Home prices rise faster than we can save. It's like running on a treadmill. That keeps speeding up while someone moves the finish line further away. Chapter 3. The Diploma Deception. Just go to college. Get a degree, they said. You'll make more money, they said. You did everything right and ended up $37,000 in debt for a job that requires a master's but pays like you dropped out of high school. The average college graduate today has the same purchasing power as a high school graduate in 1980. 4 years and 40 grand for this? Jobs that required high school diplomas in your parents' generation now demand bachelor's degrees. Same job, same pay, adjusted for inflation, just more debt. It's degree inflation. 37% of workers are overqualified for their jobs, but try getting that job without a degree. Sorry, we require a bachelor's to answer phones. College costs increased 1,200% since 1980. Wages? Up 260%. If minimum wage grew at the same rate as college tuition, it would be $36 an hour. Instead, it's $7.25. The diploma deception convinced an entire generation that education was an investment. Turns out it's a debt trap with a graduation cap. Chapter 4. The Wage Stagnation Station. Welcome aboard the Wage Stagnation Express, where numbers go up, but buying power goes down. Next stop, perpetual poverty. The minimum wage in 1968, adjusted for inflation, was worth more than today's. We've literally gone backwards. Your parents' teenage job at McDonald's had more purchasing power than your adult job with a degree. Progress. Since 2018, housing costs rose 40%. Wages? 28%. That's a chasm that widens every single year, and they wonder why 58% of Gen Z can't meet basic needs. Have you tried not eating? The median worker needs 53 hours weekly to afford what took 40 hours in 1975. That's not work-life balance. That's work-work balance with life as a guest star. Corporate profits hit record highs. CEO pay increased 1,322% since 1978. Your pay? Up 18%. They're not struggling to pay you more. They're choosing not to. Chapter 5. The Debt Trap Design. Student loans, the only debt that survives bankruptcy and follows you to the grave. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Black borrowers still owe 95% of their loans after 20 years. White borrowers, 6%. That's systemic extraction with compound interest. Equality. Gen Z debt grows 6.72% annually. Starting salaries? Stagnant. It's mathematically impossible to out-earn the interest. You're not paying off debt. You're renting an education required for jobs that can't pay for it. You can't not go to college because jobs require degrees. But going means inescapable debt, like charging admission to a mandatory event, then making the ticket cost more than what you'll earn inside. Checkmate. The average payment is $500 monthly. That's $6,000 yearly, 4 decades. A house down payment every few years, except you're paying for employability. What a system. It was perfectly designed. Just not for you. Appreciate you sticking around. If you liked what you heard, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment. I'd love to hear your take. And if you know someone who'd enjoy this, share it with them. Chapter 6. The Gig Economy Grind. Be your own boss. Translation: be your own HR, accountant, marketer, janitor with zero benefits and all the risk. 58% of Gen Z does gig work by necessity. That's not entrepreneurship, that's desperation with LinkedIn marketing. The flexibility to be broke multiple ways simultaneously. Your Uber driver probably has a master's. Your DoorDash person might be a teacher. The gig economy isn't replacing jobs. It's what people do because jobs don't pay enough. 67% of side hustlers report burnout. You're working 40 hours that don't cover bills. Then another 20 driving strangers for rent. That's not hustle culture. That's survival culture with better marketing. Platforms take 20 to 30% of every dollar. No benefits, no security. You absorb all costs while they absorb profits. The gig economy sold you independence. You got exploitation with extra steps. Chapter 7. The Social Media Spiral. Instagram convinced you everyone's thriving while you're barely surviving. Plot twist. They're all in debt with better photo editing. Living my best life. 93% of Gen Z compares themselves on social media. You're measuring your reality against everyone's highlight reel. That vacation? Credit card debt. That apartment? 3 hidden roommates. Social media intensity correlates with compulsive buying, spending money you don't have to impress people you don't know. But the dopamine hit, though. Average person spends $18,000 yearly on non-essentials, with $1,000 in savings, financing unaffordable lifestyles on platforms profiting from insecurity. Make it make sense. What they don't post: anxiety attacks checking balances, creative math for rent, ramen after brunch photos. Social media turned economic anxiety into performance art. Everyone's pretending while Googling bankruptcy lawyers. Chapter 8. The Inheritance Illusion. The great wealth transfer is coming. $84 trillion passing from boomers. Small problem, only going to people who already have money. The top 10% receive the vast majority. The bottom 50%? They inherit debt and funeral costs. Generational wealth. For some generations. When you're drowning, a life preserver doesn't teach swimming. It delays sinking. Your parents' generation built wealth through work. Your generation, banking on inheritances that probably won't come. The new retirement plan. Hope for the best, prepare for ramen. Average inheritance for bottom 50% is under $10,000. Top 1%? $4.8 million. That's like one person getting a used car while another gets a mansion. They call it wealth transfer, but it's really just rich families staying rich. The inheritance illusion keeps you hoping for rescue that's not coming. Better to build your own boat than wait for someone else's yacht. Chapter 9. The System Architecture. It's not conspiracy. The system runs automatically now. Everything connects. Can't afford college, take loans, loans too high, work more, working more, no time for skills, no skills, lower wages, can't afford housing, rent forever. It's brilliant. Together they form a perfect machine, extracting wealth from young to old, poor to rich. Corporate monopolies control prices. 5 companies own everything. They don't need meetings when they all want maximum extraction, minimum pay. Non-compete clauses trap 30 million workers. Right-to-work laws killed unions. At-will employment means constant insecurity. Together, they built a prison and convinced you it's freedom. You're being successfully harvested. Chapter 10. The Mental Cost. Just think positive. I'll positive think my way out of systemic exploitation. Gen Z depression rates are 50% higher than older generations. Must be the phones. Definitely not economic impossibility of basic goals. You're not depressed because you're weak. Your nervous system correctly identified you're trapped. Your brain works fine. The economy doesn't. Economic stress shrinks your prefrontal cortex. Poverty changes brain structure. Worse decisions when stressed about money. Keeps you poor. Keeps you stressed. Bootstrap your way out of that. When teachers need food stamps and tech workers live in vans, reality becomes negotiable. Keep them tired. Keep them desperate. Keep them competing instead of questioning. So we're screwed? Not quite. Understanding the game is step 1. You're not failing. You're being farmed. One implies personal failure. The other recognizes systemic extraction. You can't budget out of poverty wages. You can't side hustle out of inequality. Solutions aren't individual. They're collective. Every major improvement came from organizing, not grinding harder. 40-hour week? Organizing. Minimum wage? Organizing. You guessed it. Stop comparing to previous generations' timelines. Different game, different rules. You're playing where someone moved squares and tripled prices. Different strategies. Build community. Share resources. Question instead of accepting. Connection is resistance. Unsustainable systems, they don't sustain. What can't continue, won't. Understanding how we got here, that's how we find our way out. The game is rigged, so stop playing by their rules.